I belong to Department of Bioinformatics, College of Life Science, Ritsumeikan University. My theme is a search for new education. Look at this graph. Recently, the number of children with developmental disorder in normal class has been increasing. According to Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology. Education corresponding to each is required more than before. I was surprised at the fact. I want to be a teacher in the future. So I began to part-time job at the so-called cram school supporting children with developmental disorder. I teach science, math, social skills networks. The aim of this study is to spread my opinion that I obtained from my experience and thought of scientists from TED, for example, Mr. Tyler David, Miss Shankaras. I pay my attention with next 3 points mainly. Method to enjoy science, developmental disorder from psychology aspect, developmental disorder from brain science aspect. First, I talk about method to enjoy science. I introduce Mr. Tyler David. Please watch this movie.
It's out like a horror story. Once upon a time, there's this happy little bacterium. Don't get too attached to him. Maybe he's floating around in your stomach or in some spoiled food somewhere. And all of a sudden, he starts to not feel so good. Maybe he ate something bad for lunch. And then things get really horrible as his skin rips apart and he sees a virus coming out from his insides. And then it gets horrible.
He is a new high school science teacher, and he is so eager. He is looking forward to discuss with his students about science. One day he taught science with textbook chapter about his favorite subject in all of biology, virus and how they attack. He said, "Can somebody please explain the main idea and why this is so cool?" Then the classroom fell silent. Finally, one of his students said, "This is worthless." And she explained the reason why. She answered that she said, "Science is not worthless, but I don't understand the meaning of textbooks." The other students in his class agreed with her. He realized that maybe they took notes or they memorized definitions from the textbook, but no one of them really understood the main idea. He was totally clueless. He had no idea what to do next. From failure of the education of his, he found new methods to enjoy science. He got rid of difficult technical knowledge and complicated explanation. And he began the explanation with easy story. I agreed with his idea, and he wanted to spread to many science teachers. Next, I talk about developmental disorder from psychology aspect. The developmental disorder has various kinds. I introduce 3 disorders. First, the pervasive developmental disorder. For example, autism, Asperger's syndrome. Second, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Third, learning disorder. When I began to work for cram school, I thought that I should obey the measure of characteristics. But I found that we cannot indicate a symptom for all children. We need to observe each of the children well and concern closely to find the best instruction methods of one child. Finally, I talk about developmental disorder from brain science aspect. I introduce Miss Shankara's. Please watch this movie.
And then I came across a team at Harvard University that had taken one such advanced medical technology and finally applied it, instead of in brain research, towards diagnosing brain disorders in children. Their groundbreaking technology records the EEG, or the electrical activity of the brain, in real time, allowing us to watch the brain as it performs various functions and then detect even the slightest abnormality in any of these functions: vision, attention, language, audition.
She is brain scientist. It is estimated that 1 in 6 children suffer from some developmental disorder. This is a disorder that retards mental development in the child and causes permanent mental impairments. Despite the fact that each and every one of these disorders originates in the brain. Most of these disorders are diagnosed solely on the basis of observable behavior. In Harvard University, they can indicate a high medical technology for diagnosis of children with brain disorders. It is important for analyzing children from psychological aspect, but she insists importance of method to check children's brain. If it is realized, we can notice the true possibility of children. So I agree with her. And finally, I talk about my conclusion. There will be 3 viewpoints to be required for understanding of new education, and not to speak of a viewpoint as education. Understanding of psychology and brain science is necessary in addition to it. The 21st century is called with a century of the psychology, and recently the life science have been developing. Not only education's knowledge, but also understanding brain science and psychology are necessary for the education of children. So I want many teachers to know my opinion. Thank you.